So know your limitations, know your virtual motherboard. Let's talk about the ACE production cycle. Well, very simple. First, you create a virtual machine to package it with its policies and some security, and then you deploy it to different types of media, and then they are managed by the management server. If you want, it's optional. I don't see why not. Management server is free, right? So it's even in the flavor of an appliance that you can download and make it run. Yeah, it's not that simple. The problem is that you will see then that you are going to start implementing the management server. You're going to ask your data center people to give you probably a virtual machine to install it. And you're going to need to open ports. And then you're going to have to talk to your networking people. And they're going to say, no, 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 no. I do not want to put this thing on the DMZ. It's dangerous, right? Or it's not company policy to open these ports or those ports. That's where your project starts to get complicated. Okay? So coming back to what I said before, creating an ACE is very simple. What you got to become an expert at is in politics, in knowing how to deal with your internal people. Okay? The basic components of ACE are the workstation, where you create the ACE, the management server to manage the policies, the ACE master, which is the basis where you program actually the policies inside a workstation to create an ACE package, and what we call, when you turn on after you install the ACE, when you turn on the virtual machine, we call it an ACE instance, which is the instantiation of the virtual machine. And how do elements communicate? Well, quite simple. You are in the corporate network creating packages, while the management server is on the DMZ, and your clients are communicating to the management server to see if there's any policy changes. Maybe you want to expire the virtual machine in 30 days. Well, this guy will tell them not to power on later on. So far, so simple. Here's the 12 steps of an ACE project. In my experience in the field, if you follow them one by one in that order, I can almost guarantee you're going to have a successful ACE project in your hands. Okay? So, as I told you, the first step is to gather information, develop a strategy, define policies, resolve the challenges that you find in your company, build a prototype, QA the prototype, quality assurance, run a beta with a small group of users, survey those users after they have used the application, make corrections to your prototype, QA the corrections, train and document the end user guides and your help desk and all the people involved in this project, then go into production. If you follow this, you won't fail. So let's start digging into this cycle and see a little bit of details around this. The first step is to gather information, and this is critical. The end result of your ACE project is the result of the information you gather. GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, right? So, you've got to talk to all these people. You may want to talk to your IT department to see what's your budget. And why do you need to know your budget? Well, maybe you need to take a decision of what type of media to recommend to buy, right? Are you going to deploy on DVDs? Are you going to deploy on USB hard disks? What type of hard disks? I mean, there's thousands out there, right? How fast are your hard disks going to be? You're going to deploy on USB sticks? You need to know your budget. You need to know with human resources what happens when you terminate an employee. What's the procedure? He's going to have an ACE that he can work from home with. When you terminate that employee, you need to disconnect him on the management server, right? And deactivate his VM or expire it. So there must be a procedure internally to do that. What's the procedure? And finance need to approve the purchases. And security, you need to talk to them about access. And what's the procedure for these new remote users? Are they going to be LDAP? Are they not going to be LDAP authenticated? You need to talk to networking about the firewall and VPN ports that you need to open. And the data center about provisioning. A very good example that we see all the time out there. Everybody implements the A's, we're ready to go, they go into production, they give the devices to the employees with their user guide, there has been a training, everything sounds dandy. On the first day, everybody goes home with their USB stick or their DVD-ROM, and guess what? Everybody, this doesn't fail, installs it on the same day and runs it at the same time. And suddenly, you have the data center people going crazy because the radio server of the VPA connection is going down and down. You cannot take the backplane saturation. So you need to capacity plan and talk to your data center people. You may need to talk to marketing regarding vendors. Maybe part of your ACE project is to give your vendors a USB device so that when they're visiting you, they can check their email or navigate internet without being intrusive in your own network. And you may want to talk to legal department. What disclosures are you going to use? What kind of EULA are you going to use? Do you want a custom EULA that shows the reality of your company? If you're going to give this to your own personnel to use at home in their personal computers, maybe you want to put a disclosure there saying, this is a company X virtual machine running on your physical machine. We are not responsible if something happens to your physical host. So you need to think about disclosures and EULA. It's very important. You need to train your help desk. What's going to happen when they start getting calls from the end user saying, hey, I'm powering on this virtual machine you gave me, but I can't connect, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. They need to be properly trained, and that takes time. So you need to plan appropriately. Very important to create very, very simple and concise user guides. Don't create Bibles out there. Don't create something very little. Create something exact, step by step, to what the end user has to do in order to install the end user. And I'll show you some samples of those guides. You may have some development to do. Maybe you want to do what most of people out there are doing. They put an active desktop web page in the XP, and they hook it up to the internet. And when the ACE is powered on and connected VPN, the web page is updated. So for trouble, call 800 blah blah blah, or the server is down. They use that active desktop page for transfer information to the client, right? You may want to develop something like that, or you may want to develop some scripting. You need to talk to all this. This is an ACE project. This is what you need to concentrate on, not on learning the application, which is very simple. So, when you're serving the potential users, trying to gather information, this is the type of questions you should have in your mind. You should think about roaming habits. I mean, are these users going to be flying all over and hooking up from airports, or they're going to be users that are going to be connecting from their home? That's going to affect the choice of media they're going to use, right? Because if they're going to install the ACE on their home computer, more than probably you're going to deploy on a DVD that they will just put it in and power it on, install the player, and end the story. Very cheap to deploy, no problem. If the roaming habits are travel a lot, maybe you're going to think of a Pocket X. Or maybe you're going to think of a different type of device, like a very fast USB hard disk. You need to identify the roaming habits. You need to also think about the users and the applications by departments. You should try to avoid to create a generic ACE instance for everybody, because that forces you to create a large